Okay, good morning and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. Iyun with Benzion. Today's daf is Maseches Nazir daf Lamed Beis number 32. I think it's exactly halfway through Maseches Nazir. I think it's 64 dafim. So I want to talk today about the concept of Meiser Behema. We learned in a Mishnah on Lamed Aleph and Beis. Meiser Behema is fundamentally different than other types of Hekdesh. For example, Meiser Behema, you lead your your animals out of the pen, you line them up, and as they're leaving the pen, the 10th one, you're supposed to take a rod and color it red on the forehead of the animal and designate it as Meiser Behema. Now, if you made a mistake, and instead of designating the 10th one as number 10, you designate the ninth one as number 10, or you designate the 11th as number 10. So all three animals, right, the ninth one, the 11th one, and the actual 10th one, which you didn't count as 10, they're all three considered Meiser Behema. It's a special pasuk. The Gemara is in Bechoros. So the Mishnah uses this, Beis Shammai uses to prove that Hektish B'tos, Hektish by mistake, right, is considered Hektish, right? He made a mistake. He called the ninth one 10th. For some reason, it's Hektish. And Beis Hillel says back to him, Meiser Behema is not approved. Meiser Behema is obviously a very different halacha, because if you take the 12th one and you call it 10, or the 8th one you call it 10, everyone agrees that wouldn't be Hektish. So Meiser Behema is his own unique halacha. And furthermore, the Gemara on Daf Lamed Beis and Aleph, the Gemara talks about Meiser Behema, brings a machlokes between Rav Nachman and Rav Chisda. Rav Nachman says, right, this concept of the ninth and the 11th becoming the 10th one, only if you made a mistake. Rav Chisda says that even, certainly, if you did it on purpose, right, the ninth one and the 10th one, it would work also. And the Gemara goes back and forth, who's right, who's not. But the point is that there's a shita of Rav Nachman. It's only my mistake. By kavana, it wouldn't work. So, and the Gemara says at the end of the Gemara, before the next Mishnah, the Gemara says Hektish is fundamentally different than Meiser Behema. Hektish depends on kavana, right? When I'm makdish an animal, I am, right? We hold like Beis Hillel. Hektish B'tos is not Hektish, right? If I made a mistake, I said this is a carbon shlamim. I really didn't want this to be a carbon shlamim. It's not kadosh, right? For some reason, I didn't want it to be. I made a mistake. I thought this was a different animal. I thought it was, I thought it was, sheep A, and it really turned out to be sheep B. So it was a mistake. So it's not hektish according to Beis Hillel. We paskin like hektish does not hektish. It depends on your kavanah. And we explained yesterday the reason is that hektish more than shvuos and adar is dependent on your kavanah, right? The ikr is your kavanah, calling the div lave, right? It's your mind, your mindset, and therefore if you made a mistake in your mind, so therefore it's not hektish. Even if they're words, you're makdish this animal, nonetheless it undermines it. Your mindset undermines it. However, when it comes to Meiser Behema, the Gemara indicates it's different. It's different. Meiser Behema works. So what is Meiser Behema? It's in a form of Hektish. Meiser Behema is Hektish. You're Makdish the Meiser Behema, and you bring it as a korban to Hashem. So why is it different? So obviously, based on the fact that the Torah tells you this unique halacha, the ninth one is considered 10th, and the 11th one is considered 10th, if you called it the 10th one. Obviously, you see that Meiser Behema works very different than a regular Hektish. Regular Hektish, regular korbanos, Kedushas HaGuf, Kedushas HaDamim, depend, like we said, call them Div Lev. However, it's clear that Meiser Behema does not work like that. Meiser Behema actually works maybe like even a neder, right? Because it's actually a Maisa over here. What are you doing? We said Nadarim are different than Shavuos. Nadarim are Isra on the Chefsa, Shavuot are Isra on the Gavra, right? And therefore Nadarim is like actually your words have power. They make a chalos, right? They make an Isra on the Chefsa itself, and maybe has value of Dinei Mamonis. We pass, and there is Me'ilah. Bekonamos by nadarim, right? You violate meila if you benefit from something which a neder was placed on it. At least a neder that's hukash to a korban, right? You compare the davar aser to a korban, so there's yesh meila bekonamos. We technically pass like that. So therefore, your words, like the Gemara says in many places, your words are like a maisa, right? Hakamas piv, right? Your piv, your mouth, akima svasav is like moving your mouth is actual declaration. It's an action. Moving my mouth. You see my mouth moving as action. That's not just the words that you hear, right, the audio, but it's actually my tongue and my lips and my mouth are moving. So in a certain instance, looking at Nadarim, it's considered an action. And I would say also by Meiser Behema, it's not just a shvuah. It's actually the Torah recognizes that when I place I take a rod and I actually do so, I have to color the animal's head red. So therefore, it's not a regular din of hektish where it's called a div lev. It's actually a maisa. It's actually like a neder, maybe even more than a neder, but it's at least a neder, it's a neder and it's on the chefsa, and therefore if I designate, I do the mice and I put a red dot on the ninth animal as the 10th animal, it works. Or the 11th animal is the 10th animal. Or the 10th animal, maybe the 10th animal is hektish because just the Metzias, it's a 10th animal. Maybe that works Mamela by itself. But at least the ninth and the 11th animal, when I declare it as the 10th animal, by declaring Akima Svasta. Plus, you also have taking the Shevet, usually use your staff and use a red dot. So it's actually Misa over there. Maybe it's like a Neder. And that's why you can't compare it to Hektish. Hektish is depending on your lave. However, Misa Behema works Midin Neder. Midin Neder. Like a Neder, we learn in Masach Sadarim, Isra, on the Chefsa. We'll obviously have to learn Masayid or Kachim, and Misachas Bachoros talks about this. The concept of Meiser Behema, are there differences between that hektish and other hektish? Actually, Meiser Behema is a very makel type of hektish, as opposed to a hektish with your heart, where your heart is the main part, where it's very chomer. You have Kodesh Kashim, Kashim Kalim. Meiser Behema is one of the most lenient type of hektish. So we'll talk about that going forward, but it's important to distinguish based on our Mishnah and Gemara that Meiser Behema is not a regular type of hektish, and it works based on a Maisa and not based on your mindset. Hope you enjoyed today's share. See you in the next one.